Hello ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. This is the Great and Powerful Zilla and I am back. I'm not in good health, but we're going to do a video anyway, and I have moved. So I am missing an element that has been present in all the videos I've made up until now, and that is ping. That's right. I have extremely low ping now. I'm actually able to play like a real player, and I'm going to show it. As I was looking through the files, I noticed that I had not done a replay on this ship. This is the USS Ranger, a very famous World War II U.S. carrier. So let's talk a little bit about the Ranger in real life. It was commissioned in 1934. It served almost all the entire war in the Atlantic. In 1942, it was involved in Operation Torch, and when the John Bart decided it was going to come back to life after taking a hit from the Massachusetts, the Ranger's planes came over and sank the French bastard, sending it to the bottom. In 1943, it was overhauled, and then it went to Norway to hunt for the German shipping up there, and it was hunting for the Tirpitz. And surprisingly, in a German propaganda piece, it was reported to have been sunk by a U-boat, and the commander replied in U.S. radio, "We are alive and well, and we're looking for this German battleship, and he's too much of a coward to come out and fight." In 1944, it became a training ship, mainly because even in 1941, the ship was considered too slow for operations in the Pacific, so it was relegated to the Atlantic, and then later on in the war, as huge numbers of modern U.S. aircraft carriers came about, it was relegated to being a training ship and to ferry aircraft to distant locations. And eventually it ended up at Pearl Harbor, and it ended up in the Pacific. So it's got a bunch of war ribbons, and sadly, in 1947, the Ranger was scrapped for the total cost of $297,000. Or $259,000. I can't read today. $259,000. So an entire aircraft carrier sold for scrap for $259,000. Think about that for a second. Okay, I imagine in 1947 that might have been a lot of money. I don't know what it equates to in today's dollars, but it seems to me to be pretty darn sad to a very proud ship with an illustrious history and lots of war ribbons. Of course, in her honor, the United States commissioned other carriers that were named Ranger after her, and there was one commissioned in the 1950s and whatnot. But the Ranger in real life was the first U.S. purpose-built aircraft carrier. Okay, it wasn't a conversion from another ship. This was built from the ground up to be an aircraft carrier. So let's talk about what she's got in the game. In the game, she is a Tier 6 carrier, which means sometimes she gets matched up against Tier 8s and whatnot. Her aircraft rating is 49. So, if you get into a match with any aircraft that's around 49, you're going to be okay. Anything above that, your aircraft are going to take losses, lots of losses, okay? And what kind of airplanes does she have? Well, she gets the Grumman F4F Wildcat, all right, which was a pretty famous U.S. fighter that basically defeated the Zero before the Hellcat came along, the F6F. This is the F4F Wildcat. This is your rockets. Your torpedo bombers your torpedoes are by the TBF Douglas Devastator. Now, this aircraft has been maligned as one of the worst the U.S. ever produced in World War II. It wasn't necessarily bad, but it wasn't good either. And it just happened to get caught by Zeros and whatnot. It was far outclassed by the Japanese planes. And then we have the Vought Vindicator, which was the precursor to the Douglas Dauntless. This aircraft right here, okay, no, just no. But for the purpose of the game, these things actually do a fairly good job, okay? So what I'm going to do is we're going to go into a random match, and we're going to play a random match, and I'm going to show you the results of that game. However, before I do that, I keep getting asked the same questions over and over again. How do I spec my captain? You spec every aircraft carrier captain almost identically to each other. You're going to go straight down the attack line. Then you're going to go survivability expert with the next 3 points. You're going to pick up your, no, not that one. This one, the engine, improved engines. And then you might want to go with last gasp or maybe the improved engine boost, something like that. Maybe survivability or superintendent, but it really doesn't do a whole lot for you based on what you're doing. And this is your core right here. Anything else over and above that, you're in good shape. You know, maybe you want to pick up demolition expert so you start more fires, because U.S. and British carriers do start a lot of fires, okay? So maybe something like that. But the way I spec my captains, straight down the attack line, then this is almost a must to improve the health of your squadrons. Then anything over and above that is your call. I personally would go with the engine boost and the improved engines, and maybe if I had points left over, demolition expert. Okay? As far as upgrades and modules go, again, it depends on the aircraft carrier and what you're mainly using. I use torpedo bombers here for the mod 1, but you could easily go for attack aircraft if you wanted that. On British carriers, always go for health on the bombers. That's your bread and butter. On Americans, you might want to go with torpedo bombers or something like that, okay? All right, so those are the mods. You know, I use Air Goose mod, speed of aircraft returning. Anytime you can wrap around airplanes faster, you're in good shape. Damage control, because why not, you know? I use torpedo bombers. So we'll see what happens. Let's go into battle. Let's rock and roll. See what's going on. Okay? All right. As always, what I do is I take a look over the teams and I see what I'm facing, and I don't see anything particularly intimidating here. The battleship, I believe that's New Mexico, has some pretty decent anti-aircraft. It's pretty equivalent to my planes, but outside of that, I don't see anything that's going to make me shake in my boots. So, the first thing I do on any map, as you know, is I dive for cover. So,
pilot mode enabled.
Trying to figure out how to get behind that island, and that's not working. So I redo it, and I swing it around so that I kind of curve around and get behind the island that way. And the first thing I do on any battle is I bring out my rocket planes. Now, primarily, I'm going to use these to scout. So what I'm going to do, if you look at the mini-map, right around, I'd say F line, I'm going to cut across, okay, and scout that way while trying to avoid anti-aircraft fire. Okay, that's the plan anyway. Of course, what the enemy team does oftentimes will dictate what changes your plans have. So, as you can see, my ping is very low. Okay, it's around 30. Compare that to what I had before, which was in excess of 1,000 at times. Okay, and first thing I do is I swing around and I say, okay, I see his rocket planes. I see 2 of our destroyers over there, so I'm just going to plant fighters at the entrance to that little inlet and let the destroyers get under that fighter cover, okay, and kind of deter the enemy rocket planes from making attack runs on our destroyers. And it's effective. It works. Okay, so he avoids going after our little destroyers up there. So I'm going to come down this inlet, and I happen to come across a cruiser, and I bank away from that. I'm just scouting. I'm not here to pound into oblivion anything that I see. I'm just scouting around, okay, seeing what's out there, and it appears that the enemy team is bending it to the west, off to the left side of the map. It looks that way anyway. So I'm going to come up on this guy's rear end, and I'm going to put the reticle on the nose. I'm going to fire my rockets, and lo and behold, the miracles of actual internet. Do not ever get satellite internet, guys. I'm I'm able to actually hit targets now. So,
approaching target.
That's the New Mexico's anti-aircraft. He's giving me a hard time. I'm going to put some into this ship right here, start some fires, and
returning
hit the
to
F
ship.
key and
Taking
return
fire.
to nuke here.
Waypoint reached.
So I take off in my torpedo bombers. These are the Devastators.
Maintaining
And,
present course.
Yeah, it's just rinse and repeat. And we're going to see what kind of damage we can do. Now, there's a Farragut right there. And I know, from my experience, that if I don't get rid of that damn thing, it's going to cause no end of trouble. But it's more than a Farragut down there, as you will see. Okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my torpedo bombers and I'm going to torp that smoke cloud. That's the intention anyway. But the problem is that Farragut's in that little cubby. You see that little inlet right there? That little cubby, he's in there. So in order to hit him with my torpedoes, I have to go all the way south, turn around, and come back and hit him from the other direction. There's just not enough room.
Taking fire.
But what I can do is spook the rabbit.
Engaging enemy.
So I can drop torps into this smoke cloud at an oblique angle. Okay, that will cause him to move just out of natural reaction.
Reached.
Okay,
Autopilot
here
mode
he's starting to move out to try and avoid torps that have really no prayer of hitting him anyway. But you just spook them. And sometimes if you can spook them into moving, it makes them vulnerable to your ships that are shooting at them. Okay? So that was the intention there.
Engaging enemy.
I had no prayer of hitting that ship. I knew it. But if I can chase him into our ships, then that's so much the better. So I'm going to launch torps on this big fat battleship here. I believe that's an
We're
Ismail.
under attack.
Okay? We'll launch some torps on him.
Returning
See if we
to
can get
ship.
any hits.
Taking fire.
And I'm going to take off in my rocket planes again. Why? I'm focused on those destroyers.
Airborne.
And all you destroyer captains out there, and I'm one of you too, I play destroyers as well. If I'm on a carrier, I am hunting you whiny, cry, forum trolling bastards every single chance I get. I will hit you now with no ping until there are no pixels left on that screen. I will knock those pixels off so far they will fall into your lap off your computer screen. I am going to be merciless and ruthless when it comes to destroyers. Period. You have now got me to deal with. So I'm coming after the Farragut. We're going to drop down. He has smoked up, but I'm going to hit him anyway. Okay? And, okay, they're in smoke. I'm not going to waste time hanging around there, especially with this anti-aircraft coming up at me. So I'm going to swing around and I'm going to see if I can't throw some rockets at something else. And there is a cruiser.
Approaching target.
I believe that's a cruiser. Can't see on the screen, so we're going to give it a go. Fire some rockets, get some hits, put some more damage on the screen, farm some more damage, swing back around, come up on his posterior, and plant some rockets that way. And to my team's credit, they're doing a really good job. They're not doing attacks. And they've killed him, so we don't have to use that attack run. Let's go back after those destroyers. That's right. Okay? There are two there. There's an Ernst Gede and there's a Farragut. I want to get rid of the Farragut. He is by far the most dangerous of the two. Okay?
We're under attack.
It's a good ship. There he is.
Engaging
coming
enemy.
down. Oh,
We're
you
under
have made a
attack.
mistake. And I'm not going to interrupt you when you make a mistake. So you can go back to port, you little gremlin. Maybe pick out another destroyer and try and play that. So, now we've got the Ernst Gede. Now this guy, he plays like a paranoid schizophrenic rabbit. He knows there's a carrier out for blood. And he is beating feet. He is sailing away as quickly as he can. Because all of our ships are after him. There were 4 destroyers they had to start this game. There's now 3, and he's one of them. So I'm going to swing these bombers around. Remember, American dive bombers only carry HE unless you're driving the Enterprise, in which case they will drop AP bombs. HE is best used against destroyers and cruisers, works on battleships too, starts fires. AP
Target.
Yeah, you're going to get some damage on a destroyer, but you're not going to do a whole lot. I'm going to drop these bombs,
Under attack.
and they're going to fall behind him because I didn't give enough lead there.
Our team is taking the lead.
Still getting used to it. And we're going to swing it back around. And if I happen to get interrupted while I'm doing this edit, you'll please excuse me. I have two very, very demanding little kittens here with at my son's house, and they want food, even though they have full dishes of food, and they're begging.
We're under attack.
So we get a hit on the Geed, but we're going to go ahead and return to the carrier.
We're under
We've got
attack.
one plane left to try and preserve something. Take off with rocket planes again to go back after that Geed. Again,
Airborne.
ruthless aggression. Keep going after those destroyers. Make them bob, make them weave, make them move, make them uncomfortable. Make their life as difficult as possible, because I can rest assured and I can guarantee you that they will make your team's life as difficult as possible. But I divert my attention from that Geed and go after this one. Why?
Airborne.
Because he's in our cap. Now he's in smoke. He knows there's a carrier floating around him. He can't sit in the smoke forever. So I drop fighters to spot, and I'm going to bring my planes around. Now, if he popped out right now, I'd have no chance of making a run at him because my reticle's too far out in front. Okay? But he knows there's a carrier here, and he turns his aircraft back on in the hopes of trying to stop me. Okay? But I pull away from him, hit the turbo boost, swing it back around. You need to give yourself a wide berth with these rockets because they are so far out in front. So, I'm going to put the reticle on him, come in for an attack run. He does not really try to maneuver away, but our ships get him. I'd like to think part of it was because of the spotting I did, but regardless, he's gone. So we're going to swing it back around, come south after that other Geed. Again, on a carrier, if you can, destroyer, destroyer, destroyer. Keep coming after them. Okay? If you don't, I guarantee they're going to slip through and they're going to come after you. Plus, with the future addition of submarines to the game, if as a carrier you can take out the enemy destroyers, your submarines are going to have a field day. So really, your support role. You're not the big bad bully on the block. You're a support role. So I come in, make an attack run on that ship. We're going to swing it back around again. You got to give yourself a wide berth because of the placement of that reticle. We're going to bring it back around, and that Geed is in for a rude surprise. If he doesn't like surprise butt sex, he's about to have it. He's trying to maneuver, but
we're under attack.
That dog. So we hit him again. We got 3 planes left. He's out there by himself. The enemy team is starting to disappear. We're up on ships. We're up on points. Got to get rid of this guy. If for no other reason, he's spotting our ships.
Approaching target. Taking fire.
Coming up on his posterior again. Got some good hits. Got an incapacitation.
Returning. We're
We'll
under
return.
attack.
Take off in Vindicators.
Maintaining present course.
Fighter returning
Again,
to
if
ship.
you look at the placement of the team on the map, we've pulled back into a defensive cordon. Look at where our ships are. Okay? And I've decided at some point I'm going to move my carrier because he knows I'm here. He knows where I'm at. So I'm going to move it behind the other island. Okay? Because steaming down that slot on the right-hand side of the map are 2 battleships. So, we'll take these out. My main purpose in doing this is to find that destroyer. Okay, there he is. Alright. Now we got a battleship on that side. Battleship versus destroyer. At this tier, that's not fair. Battleship might get lucky because that destroyer has next to no health left. But it's really not fair to the battleship.
Taking fire.
But there's more than one destroyer over here, unbeknownst to me at the time. So I'm coming up on him. Our ships can't seem to hit him. So I'm going to put that reticle right in front of him. He's going to island himself. And I'm going to bring it down and plop those bombs
Taking
right on
fire.
top of it. Boom. Dead destroyer.
We've sunk
number
an
2.
enemy destroyer.
Alright. Amazing what the great and powerful Zilla can do.
Fighter
without any
airborne.
ping, right? There's the other destroyer. Now, I try to get him, but he maneuvers a little bit too much, and that's a bad position, so I'm not going to drop there. I'm going to bring it back around. He's below half health as well, so somebody's been beating on him. It might have been me, I don't know. So many geeds in this game. I'm going to bring it back around. I'm going to put that reticle on his nose. I'm going to drop
Engaging
down.
enemy.
It may be too little too late. Come on, come on, come on, come on. Bring it down, drop it.
We're under attack.
Yeah, oh, an incapacitation. No real damage.
Returning to ship.
So-
Taking fire.
I see there's a battleship over there. And everybody knows battleships need torpedoes.
Maintaining
They
present
have
course.
to have them. It's an accessory you can't live without. But I see our team's in trouble over here. Okay? Again, provide support for your team as much as you can. So I'm going to bring my torpedo bombers over here, and I'm going to see if I can put some damage and some flooding onto these battleships over here. La 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 la. Hurry up and wait, right? So we're going to fly over here. Da, 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 da. Eventually, we'll fly over there. I believe, unless I'm mistaken, there's a Texas and... Because I can't see the screen, guys. I'm legally blind. There's a Texas and... I believe that's
We're
the
under
New Mexico
attack.
over there.
Approaching
So we're going to
target.
drop it down. One of those ships is stationary. That is a mistake in a battleship.
We're
Stationary.
under attack.
And drop those torpedoes. Swing it back above the island. Swing it back around. Okay, I got one hit. Got 2 hits.
Approaching target.
Bring it back down. New Mexico.
Taking fire.
Destination reached. Autopilot mode disabled.
And I drop, return to the ship, got some flooding, and boom, New Mexico's dead.
Airborne.
Enemy
Okay.
battleship foundered.
So we're going to bring it back around. We're taking up the dive bombers again.
Battle ends in 5 minutes.
Going back after that battleship. Honestly, even if I weren't here, he would be having a very, very rough time because of the number of ships that are lined up against him and all those torpedoes that he's got to face. So what I'm trying to do is I'm bringing up these dive bombers, and the objective here would be to start fires. You know. But as I approach him, I notice that I don't need to attack him. He's going to burn to death anyway. Our ships have got this. There's no need for me to waste an attack run on this thing and waste any more time. So what I do is I break off of this attack, and I see the other battleship on the other side of the map. I said, okay, I'm going to go get him. So, if you're flying along and you see that your team has got this, there's no need for you to jump in there. Okay? Go find another target that you can be useful against. In this case, I believe that's an Ismail. And, no, it's some K, I can't tell. Some German battleship. And we're going to go after him. Now, this angle is not good. Alright? I'm coming in broadside. And with dive bombers, you always want to go about astern or stern to bow. You don't want to go broadside to it. Alright? So, he's in a little
We're
bit of
under
distress. He's up against an island. I'm going to swing it back around this way and try and come in nose in. And I'm not going to make it because he is maneuvering, or she. Equal opportunity bomber here. Alright? So I'm going to bring it down.
Engaging
We're going to
enemy.
drop down on top of the nose. We're going to try and get some fire
We're under
started.
attack.
And we do. Okay, so we got a bomb hit. We got a fire started. We're going to swing it back around, whip it around there. And now we've got a good angle. Now I can come up on his bow. And I can
Engaging
drop those bombs.
enemy.
Whether or not they'll do anything, well, that's RNG. But if I hit, at least they have a
Taking
chance.
fire.
There we go. And I have got a very, very aggressive kitten pulling on my microphone.
Set a smoke screen.
Will you leave that alone? Get that out of your mouth. Good grief. Anyway. I got a feeling my microphone's going to get eaten here.
Engaging enemy.
So, I'm going to drop down again on his
We're
nose.
under attack.
Got another fire started. Done my part. Okay? So, lo and behold, there's an Ernst Geed still
Maintaining
alive.
present
That
course.
destroyer is still alive, and he has taken out our battleship on the right flank. Now, who's on the right flank? Me. I'm on the right flank. I don't like that. But if I move out from behind the island, I'm certainly going to be visible. So, lo and behold, I
Approaching
spot him.
target.
I spot him,
We're under
and
attack.
I drop torpedoes to make him maneuver. He maneuvers away, but puts his broadside to our destroyer, and he's gone. Okay? Now, that Eagle is up there by himself. What I didn't see was the enemy rocket planes attacking our Eagle.
I need your support.
He asked me for help. I'm far away, but I tried to pull my planes back up to provide fighter cover for him. However, if he had A, stayed in his smokescreen, and B, gotten close to me, then I could have provided close air support to him from my ship, close air anti-aircraft support. Unfortunately, I don't get back there in time, and the enemy rocket planes take him out. My apologies to the Eagle. I did what I could, but I couldn't get back to you in time. So I swing my planes back around. The only thing that's left is the enemy carrier. And I believe that's a Ryuho. Alright? So, heading on down toward the Ryuho. It's a long way. Honestly, though, it's good to be back, and it's most excellent to be able to play unhindered on an internet connection that actually works. And that's the end of the game, guys. So how did we do? How is the economy at Tier 6? Well, to be fair, it's not bad. You know, I did 58,000 damage. I sank 3 ships. I did 211,900 credits. But how many credits did I really make? I really made 176,000. So that penalty is still there. It's pretty heavy. How many planes did I lose? 22. Not bad for a day's work, I should think. Okay? And overall, it is very, very good to be back, gentlemen. Until next time, you be good to each other and have a great, great day. Bye.